Hello, and welcome to Vonage's Secrets for Becoming America's Favorite Service Team, a one-to-one media Take 30 webcast sponsored by InContact. I'm Mila D'Antonio, Editor-in-Chief of One-to-One Media and your moderator for today's event. Today's speaker is Rob Sutton, Vice President of Global Operations and Customer Care at Vonage. In addition to customer care, Rob also leads other teams focused on back-office provisioning, Tier 3 tech support, and field installation services. Rob has been with Vonage for almost 5 years, where he has been instrumental in improving customer loyalty while reducing support costs by more than 50%. Rob has more than 20 years' experience in the telecommunications, finance, and insurance industries, focused in customer care, marketing operations, and IT. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Mila. I look forward to our conversation today.
Likewise. Before I review the agenda, let's go over the On24 interface. If you have a question for Rob, please click on the red Q&A icon. If you encounter any technical issues with the On24 system, please click on the gold question mark for a list of FAQs. Please turn off your pop-up blockers because there will be a survey during the Q&A, and we'd all like you to participate. All attendees will receive an email with a link to the archived version of this webcast. And finally, if you're tweeting, our Twitter hashtag for this webinar is One-to-One-Media. Let's move on to the agenda for today. Rob will discuss unique training and development tips to keep service teams meeting high-quality standards, next-level advice for delivering wow customer service, and winning strategies for capturing and acting on customers' feedback. This webcast will also be followed by Q&A and a post-event survey. So let's get started. Let me first set the stage for our audience. So back in February, Vonage won two 2014 Stevie Awards for Favorite Customer Service in the Telecommunications category and the Silver Stevie Award for Customer Service Department of the Year, also in the Telecommunications Department category. Rob, our audience, I'm sure, is eager to hear about the strategies that helped elevate Vonage to customers' preferred service organization in the telecommunications industry. Can you talk them through the elements that you attribute to helping gain that recognition?
Absolutely, Mila, and good afternoon or good morning, everyone. There are three areas that I attribute this recognition to. First, having great people at all levels, from the frontline agents to the supervisors to our managers and leaders in our organization, has enabled us to achieve this recognition. Second, execution. Our teams have worked to continuously improve our results year over year. We were able to do this by implementing numerous process and technology improvements during 2013 that helped us demonstrate significant results in our first call resolution measures. Finally, Vonage's leadership is committed to delivering great customer service and looking for ways to constantly improve our customer experience. Our executives are also engaged in understanding how we handle service on the front lines. For example, leaders outside of the care organization will regularly listen to service calls, whether on the floor or through audio files. And that is how we did it here at Vonage.
Well, it sounds like a lot went into becoming America's favorite service team, Rob. Can you please share some of the key strategies that you feel were critical into helping to elevate the team to this status?
Yeah, as mentioned in the first answer, we have great people at all levels of the organization. Having highly skilled people answering the phone through training, coaching, and recruitment has allowed us to elevate our service over the years. We train our employees to handle most contact types, to reduce call transfers, and we empower our agents to own the customer issue, specifically allowing the agents to contact the customer back proactively until the customer issue is resolved. From a technology perspective, we also employ call routing strategies to match our customers with the best fit agent based on how our customers use the Vonage service. We leverage technology from making CRM improvements to deploying a robust knowledge base so we can have more efficient and effective conversations with our customers. Our process and desktop tools provide us with the specific information we need on each customer and how they use our service. This in turn allows our agents to answer the customer questions and/or solve their individual issues faster. And finally, or I should say in addition, we have evolved our online self-service capabilities over the years, which are also mobile enabled, providing our customer with a variety of service options with Vonage.
Great. Let's talk a little bit more about the agents and your team. Are they dedicated agents or do they multitask? And also I'm just curious to know how many contact centers Vonage operates.
Yeah, that is a great question, Mila. We have a mix of employee and third-party agents in call centers, both in the United States and abroad. We service our customers through, as you would expect, the traditional phone channel, online chat, email, and self-service. It should be noted the company also has a social media presence where we interact with our customers through Facebook and Twitter. And we also have customer support forums off of our Vonage customer support site. To answer your question specifically, our teams are generally dedicated to a specific channel, though we do cross-train some agents to move in and out of the specific contact queues as the need arises.
Great. Now I know a successful service team also starts with having a comprehensive onboarding and training program. Can you share the process for onboarding your agents and what level of training is entailed, and also is the focus on customer incorporated into that training and mission?
Yes, very good question. Our recruitment involves what you would expect, leveraging industry best practices for soliciting candidates. This includes testing for language and service skills even before the interview process begins. After the candidates are selected and interviewed and hired, they are then trained on our systems and processes to handle multiple contact types. Reducing the amount of times the customer is transferred is important to Vonage, and reducing transfers has enabled us to improve our results. Part of the training also includes what you would expect and your listeners would expect: an introduction to Vonage, an overview of customer service, an overview of our core values, and of course, and more importantly, the organization's goals. What are we trying to achieve? One of the core values that we train our agents on is our ownership model. Now, what is an ownership model? I mentioned this briefly before. We empower our agents the ability to follow through with customers by allowing the agents to proactively schedule callbacks with the customer to ensure we resolve the customer's issues. As I think your listeners know, not every call is resolved on the initial contact and sometimes requires follow-up. This is an important philosophy in our training and in our environment.
Great. While training is important, Rob, so is rewarding and recognizing agents. What's your strategy or process around that?
I'm going to break this into two. We have structured recognition programs and spot or real-time recognition. At any time, anyone in our organization, whether at the lowest level of employee, at the agent level, or the highest level, can recognize our frontline team members doing a great job through what we would call a wow process. Now, this can range from a handwritten note given to the agent or a monetary award. And this is very important to recognize people in real time doing great things and helping our customers. Our structured recognition programs for our internal call centers focuses on incentives that align with our division and corporate goals. I want to note here that we provide a monthly wall of fame where we place photos of our top performers on a high-profile wall in a very heavily trafficked area in our corporate headquarters. We also place the pictures of newly promoted employees on the wall so everyone can celebrate in their success and to ensure we are transparent with our promotional process also. This is very important to us. We want people to be visible. We want their accomplishments to be visible. Finally, who doesn't like to have fun? We like to have fun here at Vonage, and I'm sure the rest of you like to have fun. We run contests and games that focus on delivering a wow experience and incorporate many themes into this process, such as World Cup, casino night, Halloween, and more. It is very important that people enjoy coming to work. So as mentioned before, we do have agents abroad through outsourced partners. The way we work with our partners is slightly different. We incorporate them into our local programs, but we will also run contests for them. As most probably already know, when working with the frontline staff of an outsourced partner, the smallest gifts can sometimes mean the most. I can't tell you how many focus groups I have been to where I ask the generic question, what motivates you? What motivates you to do a great job? What motivates you to deliver a wow experience? And the answers you get from the frontline staff is they want T-shirts, they want coffee mugs, they want handwritten notes, pens, with the company logo that they are supporting on it. How easy is that? Cheap swag gift, and combine it with a fun competition either at the agent or call center level site, and it is a great and cost-effective way to motivate your workforce.
Yeah, I mean, so many of us are focused on the big picture that sometimes we forget that those little things really go a long way. So thanks for providing that example. You know, people typically point to customer service leaders like Zappos and JetBlue as inspirations for their own teams. Rob, are there any other service organizations inside or outside of the telecommunications industry after which you've modeled your own service team and strategy?
Yes. When you've been in this business a while, you tend to look external to find best practices in addition to looking internal. While there is no one company that we try to model, there are approaches that have influenced our program. The use of customer, and your team or audience might figure out who these companies are. The use of customer data in driving the customer experience is important. Understanding who your customers are, using that data, and delivering a unique experience is paramount. We are focused on that. Process management discipline to have the right controls, data, and focus on your critical service processes has also been influenced from other companies in our operation. There's an old adage, you can't manage what you can't measure, and process management is very near and dear to our hearts. Also, I would like to recognize that how our call center partners operate influences our program. If you think about it, this is their business, delighting the customer. Our partners have been, and partners that I've dealt with in the past have been performing this function on behalf of major companies for decades. As a client of these services, it is important for me to stop periodically and listen and observe how our outsourced partners execute a delightful customer experience on the contact center floor and continue to learn from that. So, summary, there's no one particular company that has influenced me, but really the best practices of numerous companies we've been able to incorporate into our operations here at Vonage.
That's great. Thanks, Rob. You know, earlier you also mentioned about social, so let's talk about social for a minute. How has social media changed the game for your team and organization, and do you use service for social for customer care in any way?
Short answer is yes, but probably let's give you the long answer. Social media is important to customer service because it provides another communication avenue for our customers. We embrace it, and we're continuing to evolve this channel. Social media, and I think this is really important, also helps us to understand what makes a delightful experience and where we could learn about other areas of improvement from our customers. How many times do you maybe don't get the context of a call when you listen to a call when there's an escalation and you're trying to think to yourself, how do I change that process or interaction to better it next time? Here, the customers are actually doing us a favor. They're documenting their issue for us. What better way? They can't be any more of a help than that. So we appreciate it. It also, I mentioned before, we do have customer support forums, and this provides a forum where customers can help each other in an easy way and share ideas instead of calling our call center or chatting with us online. So we're very mature when it comes to evolving our support forums, and we definitely embrace social media and are evolving it as we speak.
So it sounds like social media is, in a sense, also enabling self-service functionality for your organization.
Well, yeah, when you think about customer support forums, having people going online, searching for answers that they may or may not get, whether it's our company or another company, and having a place where people can post similar problems and how they resolve it is a great way to allow customers to self-service and help each other. I've had success with customer support forums in previous companies and look forward to leveraging that here.
Great. So, Rob, in our agenda, we promised our audience an example or two about how Vonage wows its customers. How are your agents incited to wow your customers, and can you give a recent example of how an agent may have provided this wow level of service?
Yeah, let me take that in two parts. I want to answer the first. How are agents incited to wow the customer? Customer satisfaction scores. We've since moved our incentive plans from a top 2 box score to a top box score are built into the agent scorecards and compensation plans. We do have spot awards that we can give out for wow service, as I mentioned earlier in this telecast, and we also recognize wow service events in our CARE Town Hall meetings for everyone to celebrate and share in. Now let's talk about specific examples, and I can't tell you, probably because of social media, how many contacts I get a week from customers, whether through LinkedIn, email. The world is shrinking, and it is easier to find the VP of customer service nowadays, more so than 10 years ago when I was in this business. But I want to give you two brief examples. One, I mentioned before, we employ an ownership model in our service strategy where agents are allowed to own the customer issue and call back the customer as frequently as needed until this issue is resolved. One example how our agents took this ownership model seriously is how one specific customer was handled during Hurricane Sandy. As some of you may or may not know, many of our New Jersey call center employees were personally impacted by Hurricane Sandy in November of 2012. And I know this is an older example. During the immediate aftermath of the storm, one of our customers contacted me to commend an agent's work in following up and following through on her issue. As it turned out, the agent in this particular case was focused on not only resolving the customer's issue, but he was also doing this at a time when he was dealing with the personal impact of Sandy because it flooded his own home. Now, why do I bring up this example? I bring this example up for an important reason. It is important to have employees committed to your cause and engaged in your organization's success. This impacted employee could have understandably been focused on his own situation. He could have not called the customer back, let her issue hit the floor where she would have called back. But no, instead, his focus was on the customer. And I commend him and our employees for doing that in a time of when they could have been self-centered. The second example I would give, and I want to give two different examples here, is we had a customer that had the Vonage service for more than 5 years. And during an electrical storm, his Vonage telephone adapter was destroyed by an electrical surge. Now, some of you deal with other services. Getting a replacement for anything is not necessarily an easy process. When his wife called our customer care department, our agent was able to promptly not only troubleshoot the issue, they were able to set up shipping for a replacement device immediately during the initial call. I received a message from the customer the next day stating how happy he and his wife were with the ease of working with our service department. I use this example because it reinforces our commitment to improving our processes and our goal to quickly identify the source of the problem and to rectify it on one call. So those are two. Certainly, I could go on all day about this. It's something I'm passionate about, but I think two is good for now.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Robert. I mean, they not only demonstrate how your agents wow customers, but especially the first example really shows an engaged employee base. So thank you for providing this. Switching gears from customer service to big data, even though the two are closely linked today, what strategies do you have in place for capturing and acting on customers' feedback for Vonage's big data efforts?
Great. So I'm going to answer that twofold. At Vonage, we have a centralized data warehouse that allows us to analyze interactions with our customers and understand why they choose one service method or another. This data also provides insights into opportunities for customer service enhancement. So we're the benefactor of having a centralized repository of data already to do our analysis. One of the key inputs into that centralized data warehouse is our voice of the customer process. We survey our customers regularly to understand how they feel about their service experience. We have implemented a closed-loop process to listen to these calls and interactions in situations where customers provided us a satisfaction score of 3 or lower on a scale of 1 to 5. Our supervisors listen to the call, immediately coach the agent, and document, and the important word here is document their findings in a centralized system so we could determine trends and learn opportunities on how to improve our service. We then use this data to build tactical action plans to improve our performance, whether for training or process improvements. And with the data warehouse, we have the typical tools that you would expect in terms of the ability to dig deep and do some investigative journalism on what are the root causes of why customers call, and understand how customer sat and first call resolution relates to loyalty. So we're evolving, and it's something we take pride in and invest in.
Yeah, the term document is a key word there, Rob. Many companies are good at capturing the feedback now, but aren't necessarily taking the action steps to put the feedback into action within their enterprises. So that's great.
If I could actually jump in, you say something important. Agents take the time to document a lot in the company systems, whether it's Vonage or any other company. The most important thing a leader can do is show the agents how their data is being used to drive business decisions, policy decisions, process decisions, or building improvements in our infrastructure and technology. And that's what we'd like to do, whether it was in previous jobs or this one.
That's fantastic. Rob, just to wrap up the Q&A with me, how do you plan to grow Vonage's service strategy that you have in place?
Well, I'm going to keep it simple. Certainly, there's a million things you want to do, but there's bandwidth to do only a few. The things we're going to continue to focus on is continue to do what we have been doing. We expect to evolve our CRM and desktop systems to provide more efficient and effective support for our customers. We will also work to enhance the use of customer data to build out our customer segmentation strategies. And we're going to focus more attention on process management by incorporating Lean Six Sigma into our organization. And those are three key themes for Vonage customer care this year, in addition to all the blocking and tackling that we and other organizational peers and other companies do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it sounds like you'll be busy over the next year, so thank you, Rob. It's now time to kick off our Q&A session with our audience. First, a few reminders. If you'd like a PDF copy of the deck, click the green resource widget at the bottom of your screen. If you missed part of the presentation or would like to see it again, all attendees will receive an email with a link to the archived version. I'd like to remind everyone about the survey posted during this next Q&A period. Please take a moment to participate, and again, you'll need to turn off your pop-up blockers to enable the survey. So let's begin the Q&A. To ask Rob a question, click the red Q&A widget at the bottom of your screen, and if we don't get to your question, we'll email you a response. All right, our first question is from Carolyn Cruz, and she'd like to know what are the different language support systems that Vonage has.
Well, that is a very good question, Caroline, and I think what languages are supported is the core question there. So we support not only English, We support Spanish, Tagalog, and as needed, we will incorporate other languages of our customer base, and that is more on an ad hoc basis. We do have language capabilities. We just don't advertise as servicing in those. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't include French Canadian.
Great, thank you. Our next question is from Vanessa. She'd like to know what's one piece of advice that you would give to an organization as they aim to improve their customer service strategy?
You know what? I think the one piece of advice is there's no silver bullet. I've been at this for over 20 years, and sometimes you walk in every day and it feels like death by 1,000 cuts, meaning there's no one thing you could do that will take you to the next level. What I would recommend to leaders on the phone or who might listen to this on your recorded telecast is inspect what to expect. I guess there was a Reaganism called trust but verify. It's important not to sit in an ivory tower, but to understand firsthand what the processes you're challenging your front line to execute. And I don't mean necessarily we all have to run out to a call center floor and pick up the phone and start answering questions, but it's important to do side-by-sides, call monitoring, and inspect what to expect to make sure everything is executing as you had hoped and planned.
Well said.
Great
we
question.
have time. Yeah, great answer. We have time for one more question, and this one is about the individual agents. So what attributes do you think make a good customer service agent?
Well, obviously there's packages out there and companies that help you determine what is a great customer service agent. However, in my experience, and I'll just list 3 attributes. One is you have to be a team player. Individuals don't necessarily need to apply, at least in our organization, even though it is a one-on-one conversation that the agent's having with the customer. It needs to be a team environment because we all have to share best practices and work towards a common goal. Probing and active listening, obviously, and multitasking is very important, especially in the first few minutes of the call, whether it's customer service, retention, or even technical support. So those are 3 attributes in addition to a team player. And certainly you want someone who's reliable, but that's typically vetted in an interview process and background screening. Another great question.
Great. Rob, we have time for one more question. This is from Bob Beard. He'd like to know if you use any e-learning platform for refresher training, and how do you ensure your vendor partners' agents deliver the same level of service as your in-sourced agents?
Well, I'll talk this one. I think the short answer is yes, we do have an e-learning platform, and we do push out up training in small e-learning modules to our agents to continuously learn and improve their skills. We do have a customer satisfaction program, so we do know where, if we're not able to delight a customer or resolve an issue, we do know what the typical skill deficiency is of the agent, and we push up training based on the customer feedback and the call listening that happens immediately after. So, Bob, I hope that answered your question. Certainly, that's a topic that's probably a telecast in its own.
Definitely. Well, thanks, Rob. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but any unanswered questions will be addressed via email. This concludes Vonage's Secrets for Becoming America's Favorite Service Team, a one-to-one media Take 30 webcast sponsored by InContact. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for attending and have a great day.
Thank you, Mila, for allowing us to participate.
Great.